Welcome to my Boss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. Hi, this is for the week ending February 7th, 2025. We started off this week with lots of news about the tariff. There was President Donald Trump wants to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian and Mexico imports, right? Over the weekend, and then Monday the stock market kind of stumbled quite a bit in the morning, and then I think last hour into the session, that's when there was news that President Donald Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum reached an agreement, and that will now delay it for 1 month. And then later that day, also Canadian government also announced that the same thing. They have a 30-day pause. So then, yeah, so that was the big start to the week. And again, we're seeing the second Monday in a row where the market kind of stumble. The week before we have the AI related stocks tumble, right? So yeah, so just kind of keep mindful of those 2 Mondays now. So we are going into the next Monday this weekend, and then we'll see if there's any news. On Friday, we obviously came down quite a bit on the day. Basically because again, we're hearing that there's some possible tariff announcement on Monday. I think this time might be against China. So yeah, so and over the week we keep hearing things about China, wanting to shut down PVH brand stores in the China, which is U.S. primary U.S. stores. So again, there's lots of problems right now with the tariffs with China and U.S. and then also obviously other news as well. So this is really causing a lot of volatility in the market, and it's starting to become an environment where it's pretty hard to trade on momentum because just how like it just changed so quickly, right? Yeah, like this basically changed like every week, like you're seeing this volatility happening, and they're pretty major too. Like it wasn't small. So that's one thing. The other thing is we're starting to see lots of distribution days on the general market. Again, Friday, Monday, and also Friday, we saw distribution days as well. So it's starting to see a lot of volatility and also heavy volume selling. Here's the Nasdaq chart here. We're just sitting like right at the red line right here on the weekly chart. So it's just right there. So you can see the market hasn't gone anywhere uh, since mid-December, basically, which was the Fed announcement in December, and that started the downtrend right there. And then we did find early in the new year we did find some bounce, right, for 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks hasn't really make much progress after the AI tumble, right? AI related stocks tumble. So this is Nasdaq, and it's probably harder to see here on the weekly chart, but if you go to daily chart, we're actually seeing two tops now, right? And so we have this downtrend right here, and then we have this bounce, and then now because of Friday's drop and the 2 Mondays drop, we're now seeing a pretty similar downtrend forming here as well. So like what this is telling me is we're seeing lots of weakness, right, in the general market. This is for Nasdaq. The other thing that you can see down here is just the volume on the sell side in recent weeks, right? So this last 5 distribution days, like all happening on much higher volume, right? All above average. You can see the red line is the average. And then you see the blue volume down here, which is the up days. And that's much lower than the selling volume, right? So this is quite concerning because that's a sign that there's no one coming in to support the general market in terms of volume, and we're seeing a lot of selling. So back then, long time ago, like IBD used to have like 4 or 5 distribution days, and we would go into like either market in pressure, or even in correction in some cases, especially when it breaks like key moving average. So right now we're sitting just near the 50-day moving average or 10-week moving average. But if we break this, we can easily test these lows right here, right? This one right here. So we did find support right now on these two lows here, right? So like let's not break that. If we break this, then there's a high chance we're going down the 200-day, which is down here. So S&P chart is very similar. It's just sitting near the 10-week moving average, just 6,025. Again, we see the last 2 weeks volume pretty high, and then that one was also the week before, like a few weeks ago, that was also high. So we're seeing 2 weeks in a row with high volume selling now. On the daily chart, we did get to a new high, but again it fell, right? It fell on this new high, and then now we're starting to see like lower highs here. So very similar pattern. The only difference is this one, the low is like much lower, right? So it's still pretty far away, right, from current price. So Dow surprisingly look, pretty good. Like it's like sitting up near the top here, and it's not quite at the red line yet. So here on the daily chart, you can see it's near the 10 day, the 21 day is the pink line. It's getting close to it. Here's the 50 day. So it's still sitting comfortably above the 50 day. So here we have Russell. Again, I talked about this the last weekends and also probably the previous week as well, how it just doesn't have power to climb above the red line, right? And you can see now 2 weeks in a row, it just doesn't want to come above it. And now this 10-week moving average is sloping down now. On the daily chart, you can see the red line here. Now, what's interesting here is just how many times it has tried to surpass that level, that red line level, and it just couldn't do it. Like, it just couldn't do it. This is very concerning, because all the people who try and try and try, like how many more people left to try this before it start to break down? And this is yeah, it's starting to look, a little bit worrisome here at this level. So we'll see what happens. So this is the equal weight S&P 500. So this one also showing no power whatsoever in stock right here for a long time now, and also lots of selling volume as well. So that's also not a good sign. Equal weight Nasdaq looks slightly better. It's been, trending upward. You can see the 10-day moving average. Look at that slope right there. You can see some volume also coming in on the buy side. So the equal weight Nasdaq actually look better than most of these charts here. And we're not too far from new high as well. And we still, like I said, sitting above the 10-day. There is some selling volume on Friday, but we need to see a bounce right away for this to sustain this momentum. So this is IBD 50 ETF. Surprisingly, this one has a nice strong week, so that's very interesting. So here we can see like from Monday's drop, and we rebound right away, and then we have been sloping up like, throughout the whole week. And here's the 10-day moving average slope right now, which is steep, more than 45-degree angle. So that is really good sign, and it also have the highest close, right? In weeks, so that's also a good sign. And the next level will be this high right here. So this is probably the best looking chart right now, which means at least, the IBD 50 stocks might be worth studying to see what stocks are actually making this move this way. So the strongest stocks are moving pretty well right now. Yeah. So with that being said, like in this video, I don't usually cover all the stocks I follow. So in the next video, we will do that. So make sure you follow, subscribe, and you get notification for that one. The 10-year yield has been tumbling quite a bit. That's what been holding this market in general, I think. But it did have a strong bounce on Friday after the jobs report. The dollar bounced on Monday after the tariff news, but then it started to reverse after that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we came back up a little bit. Oil price currently in a downtrend right here, USO. We are hitting major moving average right now. The black line is the 200-day, red line is 50-day. So we'll see if we find any support here. It does look like the selling volume is starting to dry out, so it's possible we see a bounce. So gold price keeps climbing. You can see how tight it's been trading and how it actually, the green line, the pink line, you can see it's starting to curve up actually. So not only is it going up is a strong momentum, but it's actually starting to curve, which means it's accelerating in strength, right? RS rating is also pretty much moving towards high, and yeah, very strong. I mean, you know, even on this pullback right here on Thursday, it didn't close at the bottom. So definitely some gold stocks are shining right now. So IBD signal is still pretty much near confirmed uptrend, 60 to 80% allocation. We saw two distribution days, Monday and Friday. Accumulation distribution in stocks here, at least the ones I follow. You can see the numbers here. Distribution quite a bit on Monday and Friday. So there's quite a bit. Like Friday we had 333 stocks. being distributed, which means they drop on higher volume. And then you have 289 stocks by the end of the week uh, in accumulation, which means it's up on higher volume. So it's not, too far apart, but there is definitely stocks being sold off as well. On the industry group side, you can see there's more than 70 groups in down, basically being distributed this week, and 60 groups that are being accumulated. Um, on the sector side, when I break it down by sector, and this is net, meaning like net positive minus net distribution. So there's 26 technology stocks higher than distribution, accumulated higher than distribution. And then the rest you see in net distribution on retail, industrial health, and commodities, energy, and financial just up slightly. So right now the definitely is more neutral in general, right? Like we're not seeing very strong accumulation, especially after Friday. But even before Friday, you can see the numbers are just not that high. And here we see like higher numbers like 70s, hundreds, right, 50s, right. But down here we're seeing, except yesterday we saw um, technology stocks starting to show some strength. So yeah, so this market is not showing too much strength right now. Looking at the IB newspaper, we did have Monday and Friday drop on the New York events decline line here, and overall is okay. I mean, it's still above Monday's low, right? So it looks not too bad. On the Nasdaq New York, no, sorry, Nasdaq events decline line, same thing. So we have the Monday drop right here, and then on the Friday drop is slightly higher still than Monday's. So overall, it's acting normal. So this is the IB newspaper here, and we see that the jobs report added 143,000 jobs in January, which is below expectation. So you can see much lower than the previous 2 months here. And also, the unemployment rate, it did fell to 0.4%, 4%, which is also good. And then the hourly earnings jumped 0.5%, but and the yearly gains holding at 4.1%. So overall, the numbers are pretty good, except the over like the job numbers slightly. I think it was like 160 something was expected. So this kind of mixed numbers here. So going into next week, we have CPI on Wednesday morning. It's supposed to show a 0.3% rise in core prices, based on estimate. And then we have PPI, Producer Price Index, on Thursday. And then we have retail sales on Friday. But the big thing that's happening this week is we're going to see lots of growth stocks reporting. We have App, Loving, DoorDash, Reddit, Shopify, Robinhood. We have Datadog, HubSpot, Monday, Pegasus. We have Palo Alto, CyberArk. We have ALab, GFS, On and AMAT. We have Vertiv, ShotNinja, Zebra, Cisco, CME, Upstart, and Deere. So lots and lots of growth stocks earnings coming out. It's definitely going to move the growth area. So here's SMH when that semiconductor ETF. So we had this base here, pretty long base. Then we kind of went sideways. We tried to break out, but it fell. This is a very negative technical trade, and and then what happens after the gap down here? We have barely bounced in 2 weeks. So after that AI DeepSeek news, we haven't even come close to bouncing back. And this is the chipset, the semiconductors. On the daily, you can see it more clearly after this drop. We just hasn't bounced back. We bounced back from the lows, but really, we just haven't really. We just came back to the green line, right? So this is like where the green line is in this area. And the 21 day, and now the 200 day, the 50 day, they're all converging right now. Now, it's possible some news will come out and this will break out again and start the whole new momentum again, right? Assuming maybe the DeepSeek news is not going to impact how the U.S. companies are going to invest in AI and so forth. It's possible, and maybe the threat is not as big, right? Like I'm already seeing news that the initial amount of money they spend from DeepSeek is very low, right? But now it's saying in the billions now. They're saying like those numbers aren't correct. Like they're actually spending billions. So again, at the end of the day, yes, they might be able to produce at a cheaper price. The question is more, to me personally, I just look at it more from a quality thing, right? Like, are you actually producing an AI model that's quality, high quality, that can be really helpful in society, in business, and everything, consumer and all that? If that is the case, then yeah. But if that isn't the case, people will always spend more money on quality stuff. So especially when it comes to AI, I think like people want high quality results, not like just mediocre results, right? So with that being said, we'll see. I'm still optimistic that the AI area, especially even the chips area, I think I still hopeful that it could be just the beginning of this AI revolution. But again, um, we'll see how this play out, right? Like this is definitely a very long consolidation, and maybe that's all. That's what it takes. If this long consolidation is not going down hard, that's the good thing. But at the same time, right now, I like short term, it doesn't look good. The reason why is, you see this high volume selling. All the red bars are much higher selling volume. And look at the 3 days this week that bounced. There's no volume whatsoever, right? Like that is very mediocre and much lower than you like. That is really low volume. So basically, even though areas like stocks like Nvidia has dropped, and some other chip stocks has dropped, and some of them due to earnings as well, right? They report earnings and they drop. But with this lower price, like you don't see the volume coming in and trying to pick them up, especially long-term investors saying, hey, I'm gonna pick some of these shares up. Maybe it's gonna go back up, in a year from now, especially the long-term people. But it hasn't happened. So I would be a little bit leery because of this, right? Because these are the facts. What's gonna play out in the fundamentals, no one really knows, right? Only the smartest people maybe know about it. But short term, this doesn't look good. And Nvidia is the king of AI chips, and even not just in the chip area, but as a whole, it's been one of the most powerful play in the last 2 years since this bull market started in October 22. But right now, we starting to top out, right? And I don't want to say like oh this is it, but it is like this is like this is I just want to second base here, third base here, fourth base here, and this is still fourth base because it hasn't really made much gains since the fourth base here. And even though this tightened, right, then generally after a base form, you go up a little bit and it fell and it comes back and build another base. That's good. And when it takes off, it usually will take off pretty strong because you have two base here, which means so many people have sold and there's less resistance now, right? Because there's less people willing to sell now. The people who have sold already sold. The problem here is not that. The problem is that it broke down. It broke down right here. Now it did come back, right? Like it did bounce back. So let's go to the daily chart. So we broke this level and now it went down here and then it did come back, right? Again, look at the volume, right? Especially on the buying volume. Like it is barely above average. Where are the people who wants to buy Nvidia for the long term? And so again, we need a catalyst here for this to happen. If we don't see that catalyst, some good news that maybe the DeepSeek model thing is not as important, or something else, right? Maybe we see high demand still from lots of customers, things like that. We need some catalyst to push this to get this momentum going. But right now, it's actually the opposite. It's losing momentum. Like the last people who's holding this stock right now, they're trying to buy the lows here, right? But there's not many people willing to buy the lows here. So and then this 50-day moving average starting to slope down, and that's not a good sign. So this is ARM. ARM's been looking a lot better because it tried to break out here, and then here it tried to break out again. You can see I've been trading in and out, very volatile. I'm still holding some position here, but you can see it just doesn't have the power to take off, and probably because of the general sector. TSM here, very similar. It tries to break out, no power. Now it's starting to make lower highs. Here it tries to go again and it pulls back again to the moving average. There's just no power right now. And the volume, like on the blue, you see the blue? It just keep going down. And then the volume on the sell side actually pick up higher. So this is Avago. Now it was looking pretty good because it kind of came back above the short-term moving average here, but then it kind of pulled back on Friday. Now the volume is not too high, so it might be okay. So again, just overall, like this one looks better. You don't see too much selling. You see the red bars. There's not much selling volume. There's mostly on the up days, right? So this chart looks slightly better than those other charts that we just saw. Now this is Rambus. It's a smaller cap stock. It's on my growth stock list. Since we're talking about chips, I'm as well talking about right now. I don't have many chip stocks like in my portfolio now. But this is one I trade in recently, and it's been moving after this bounce right here. And it's holding pretty tight. You can see it just doesn't want to come back down to the 10 days so far. Like the volume is above average, but it just barely moved, right? So the price doesn't want to come down and didn't close at the lows. So this is looking pretty promising. Looking at the software group, IGV, we are seeing a nice pattern forming. We have this uptrend right here, and then we came back down. It wasn't doing much, right? Yeah, even when the chip stocks was running right here, this was actually starting to correct. But now this one actually starting to move up recently versus the chip area. Because as we just saw, the chip area just really not doing much. But this one is starting to come back on the right side. And look at where it ended on this week. It's actually near the top range of the weekly trading range. So this one did make a low on the Monday here. You can see it undercut that just slightly, but then it bounced back, and then we make new high intraday of Friday, but we give back most of those gains. Usually it's not a good sign when it reversed like that and it closed below like the previous day's low as well. So that's not a good sign. Volume is okay. It's not like super high, but it's hard to say. But at least the recent momentum is more trending upward. You can see the 10-day is landing like this, and then so it might be more at this angle right now. It's still not very strong, and we're going to jump into the mega caps because I think that also have a lot to do with it. So obviously we will start with the ones with earnings. Google have earnings this week, and it wasn't happy. It wasn't good. It's really weird how like the chart was looking so good, right? We talked about this last week. It broke out, and then it didn't do well on the earnings, so it gapped down. I think it was like 7 or 8% that day, 7% by the end of the day, and then it actually followed through on that selling on Friday, so it make new lows here. So this is very unhealthy now. So we have officially started this downtrend now on a very steep slope as well, and volume is really really high. And then the one that report earnings was Amazon. They also lower their forecast going down. You can see fourth quarter barely growing now. Which is weird. Like, why is this year's fourth quarter like not even growing? Isn't that Christmas? That's Christmas period. I don't know. Anyhow, huge volume selling here. So it was looking really good like this week, but then after the earnings, it's just starting to look ugly. So here you go. We have this like nice breakout right here, and it just couldn't go and waiting for the earnings, and then the earnings just shot it back down. Now it still doesn't look too bad yet. It's still above the red line, but this is a little bit concerning right now. Volume is super high as well. Let's look at other stocks. Again, Microsoft reported the week before. Look at that. It's followed through on the selling side. Not good, right? Hitting new recent lows as well. So this is not looking good at all. So again, look at the volume on the buy side. So this is very concerning. I'm seeing this pattern in so many stocks, especially tech stocks. We have a nice week, right? We have a Monday drop, but we have bounced back from Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was green, and we see the volume just not coming in. And this is Microsoft, but like I said, I'm seeing this in many stocks. And then Friday week we have volume coming in on the sell side, and bam, like this is the negative thing. It basically hit a low lower than the last 3 days lows. So what that means is we go into the intraday chart. Let me show this. So here it is from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then look at Friday. Bam! Like it just shook out everybody in such a short time period and then making new lows right there. I'm seeing a lot of this behavior. This is very negative. David Ryan from IBD is where I learned this from. He always talk about this. When you want to look at momentum, especially short-term momentum, if the stock goes down 3 days in a row slightly, right? Like let me show you the chart. Go down slightly like this, and then but it bounced really strong in one day. This is really strong action. This is actually the opposite. It goes up slowly and boom, it comes down really fast. That is not what you want to see. So the lone wolf market leader right now in the market cap is Meta, and this is phenomenal. Like this is something that is really interesting. Basically, since Trump's inauguration, it's been doing wonderful. And I don't really know why, but it is, doing really well. I mean, their forecast is not that strong either, but I guess market's still okay with it. But this is like, I don't know if this is a streak for them. Like, it's how many days? Like, you know, so it started on January 17th, like basically the Friday before inauguration, and it's been going up since every day. There's lots of rumor about what has, but anyhow, I don't want to talk about the rumors. But the fact is, it is strong. So, like, I don't know what makes them so unique right now that they're doing so well. But this is very interesting. So same thing with Apple. We have report last week. We actually didn't follow through, and we continue the selling this week. So again, very negative, very negative. Look at the downtrend slope. It's pretty steep. And finally, we look at Tesla. Again, Tesla also break the 10-week moving average and hitting new lows right now. This is also very negative. The downtrend slope is very steep. You can see right there. I don't like their earnings guidance is not that bad, like except for this one quarter here in the third quarter. Um, but they're being so off right now. I don't know if it has to do with China because with the China retaliation and so forth, probing into Apple App Store and all this US PVH brand stuff. Like this is getting crazy out of hand, right? So the tariff news is really becoming a headwind for the market now. I feel anyway. And then who knows, the Canada Mexico thing might actually, not get resolved right by March, and the tariff will go in place. So, but looking at this Tesla chart, look at this downtrend. Like, I mean, this is such a clear downtrend, and look at all this like trying to break above this trend line, it just couldn't, right? And now we're starting to sit like near the low now. We broke this lows here too, right? Now the good thing is we didn't see higher volume on Friday, so that is interesting because you would think you see a much higher volume. So there's still some people who really believe in this holding up, don't want to get rid of their stuff. But but right now the momentum is going down, so sometimes the volume doesn't come in until people start to panic. So we have to be careful here. So with this all being said, thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it and subscribe. Please follow so that you can see the next notification for my next video, which we will go through the growth stocks list and see how are they behaving right now. How many of them are actually still in an uptrend and downtrend? How many are making new highs? That's what I will cover. Please stay tuned. Thank you.